And maybe we could have the lights on, I can't really see anything. So, my name is Michael Clazy, and like I said, I'll give you a little bit of a testimony and an input, like I call it. My cousin and I, Elias, the drummer, we went for a fishing trip one day, and we decided to go, down by the river, Ottawa River, to go fishing. So, we went digging for some worms in my mother's garden, and it was kind of depleted over the years, so we didn't find anything. We dug and we dug and we dug. Nothing. So we decided to take a net, go to our neighbors, who said they had a nice little pond where we could find a whole bunch of minnows so we could use them to buy the fish, catch the fish. So anyways, we went looking for a net, and we didn't find a net. About an hour and a half later, we finally found a net, and we were off to this pond. We got there, and it was more like a mud puddle, in the middle of a field full of thistles. So I had my sandals on, and we were walking through this field trying not to get pricked. And we got there, and I stepped in the water and I sank about to my knees. And we had this net and we were running towards the shore with it. And my sandal broke off because I was stuck so deep. And the black flies, mosquitoes were attacking us like crazy. We couldn't do anything. It was just a horrible experience. So we just said, let's get out of here and go fishing without worms or minnows. So we went through the prickly field of thistles again and got to the car, drove to the sped to the river. By now it was pretty late. We only had a few more hours. We grabbed the tackle box, the clothes, the tackle box, we grabbed the fishing poles, life jackets, and the motor all in one round and went down the steep hill. We made it, and we went over to the boat, and it hadn't been used yet this year, so we picked it up. It was full of ants, and we were in an anthill. And the ants were all over us, and we ran to the river, put it in, washed it all off, and put the motor on, and sailed out. Well, we're drifting out. And so, what happened then was I pulled on the motor, and I pulled and I pulled, and my arm got sore. And my cousin, and he pulled and he pulled and he pulled, and his arm got sore. And we hear a thunder, and lightning, and it starts to pour like crazy. Now, we were at the end of ourselves. We had one paddle, and we were trying to paddle out. And the current was taking us out, and it was just horrible. It was one of my worst days of my life. So, how many of you have ever had a bad day? Put up your hands. About all of you. How about a bad week? A week where you said, I wish I would have stayed in bed. It would have been better for me to face my boss not showing up to work than if I would have stayed in bed. How about a bad life? Do you think that you went so far in your life that there's no more hope, that you went too far? You've messed up and you think there's no more hope for me? Well, tonight we're talking about new beginnings. And how many of you are in school? Started school this semester? So a few of you. So if you had a math class last year, grade 10, and you had 50%, then this year you have the same math class, you're graded 11 now, and you get a 90%. Those 2 marks won't be averaged out to 70-something. Your mark's going to be 90%. It's like a new beginning in your math class. And the question is life like that? Can you have a new beginning starting over with life? Well, I needed a new beginning at one point in my life. And it was about 12 years ago, but my Sunday school teacher showed me a verse. Romans 3:23, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God, it said. For all have sinned. Well, I'll give you a little illustration. When I was a little boy, whenever we were sick and had a fever, we were allowed to stay home from school. And so, whenever I noticed myself feeling better and getting better, I knew I had to go back to school. So I took the thermometer and I ran upstairs, put it under the hot water, and then I went to my mother and I said, Mommy, I'm really sick. And I won't tell if it worked or not, but I lied. How many here have lied before? separates us from God. The second part of this verse was to fall short of the glory of God. Imagine me and you went to the edge of the ocean. We stood at the edge, and in a moment of insanity, we said, let's swim across it. And we jumped in, and I swam, and you swam, and we swam, and we swam, and I swam maybe 10 kilometers, and I sank like a rock. I'm not in shape, really. But you are in shape. You swim and you swim 1,000 kilometers. But then you sink like a rock. You didn't make it. I didn't make it. It says, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. No matter how hard we try to get to heaven on our own, we will never make it on our own. Because sin separates us from God. So the next verse I was showing was, for the wages of sin is death. Now what me and you deserve for sin is not only a physical death, but the Bible is talking about an eternal death, an eternal separation from God forever. One sin is enough. Let me illustrate. I think illustrations sometimes show us how illogical we think. We think that if we're good, we can go to heaven.